I'm an architect. I qualified as an architect in London in the late 80s, and then moved to Paris and started professional work here. And then at one point I wanted to create my own adventure and sort of set up AW2 at that point, which has been going on for 28 years now.
And you started by yourself, just you? Or with
Yes, I started by myself, and fairly quickly a few people joined, one of whom was Stephanie, and who became my business partner since then.
You have designed and won awards for some of the most beautiful, luxurious hotels and buildings around the world. What is your creative process, and who or what inspires you?
Inspiration is a very interesting beast. Very difficult to sort of say what is the one thing that creates inspiration. For me, it's multiple things. It's traveling, which is really part of my life. I've worked in many different places around the world. It's people. It's sometimes something as strange as a piece of music. For an architect, it can actually work. But I think the process that we have sort of developed over the years with Stephanie is basically this idea of context, this idea of how we inform our thinking process and our design process through the analysis of the existing conditions of a site. But when we talk about context, we want to make it a very sort of large sort of spectre of references, from local culture to local know-how to materials to building techniques to culture in terms of how people use public space or private space. So it's a very interesting one.
So the client, the surroundings, the environment, traditions and culture are and your personal style, I guess.
Exactly. So as we always say, we have more of an approach than a design sort of signature.
So I guess when you go to somebody asks you to do a hotel or building, is the environment the most, I guess, important?
Yes.
The site is the most important, and then you go from there.
From the analysis and reading of the site, and then also from the reading of the local country and people and culture. So it's very wide the way we approach things. It's very sort of open. And first we take in, and then we sort of give back.
In starting Reda Amalou Design, you design furniture, sculptures, rugs, and even paintings. You said it's a form of continuity from your architecture and interior design projects. Was this a natural progression?
It was. I've always been passionate about furniture, that's one thing, but I've never seen the design process as being exclusive and having one single dimension. I believe that strong projects have this sort of continuity to them, from the larger scale of master planning and how you sit within a very large site, through to the interiors and how that relates to the local culture and local people, and then through the furniture and decoration, which is also part of the story that you're trying to tell.
When you're in architecture school, are you learning? I guess you're learning architecture, and you're learning how to do furniture too, or is it just a no?
No.
Okay, it's architecture.
Yeah, it's architecture, but it's also a design process that you learn. It's also how to question, the things, how to make sure that you understand what you're trying to achieve, and how your thinking process is very thorough and coherent from the start to finish. This you learn at architecture school, because a proper or a good architecture project has those qualities. By extending that to the furniture, I'm merely just extending the process to smaller scale.
So you always knew that you were probably going to do eventually?
Honestly, I didn't know, but I probably felt.
You wanted to.
Yes.
And you did. In architecture, function and structure are very important. Is it the same for design, or is there something more?
Well, I agree with function and structure, but architecture is also about emotions. It's also about how people will relate to the space that you're creating. And for us at AW2, this is more important than anything else. So it is the same with furniture and with objects. I always say there's a slight difference between the two, because the architecture, you have that sort of spatial or relationship to the architecture, whereas with objects you have this physical relationship. You sit on
more tactile,
a
it's more
sofa. There's a sort of tactile aspect to the objects that you create.
So it is a bit different.
It is slightly different.
Okay.
Yes.
I heard an architect say, if you can't be emotional, don't be an architect. Ed Niels, I don't know if you know him, Ed Niels, a Californian architect. Is that true for you? Just
Completely true. I think that reality of architecture is that if it's only there to answer to a function, then we don't need architects.
Right.
This can be resolved through whatever, probably a nap nowadays. But yeah, but I think what architects can do is they can create destinations, they can create places. And this is very, very different.
Your favorite city, Paris, London, or New York? Or another one, or another city. Just, I get the big three.
My ideal city would be to have the eccentricity of London, the class of Paris, and the energy of New York.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's an ideal city.
Yet to be created.
Okay. What material do you prefer to work with in your designs, in furniture designs?
I don't have one favorite, but I do favor natural materials. I have, through my travels, I've seen so many beautiful materials that we can use, from eggshell to sort of incredible woods or metals.
Do you have a favorite wood that you?
Walnut would probably be.
Walnut, okay.
Yeah,
Love
probably
walnut.
the one that I prefer because.
Wenge, no? Give me a wenge. That's beautiful walnut. Okay, multiple choice. I'm sure you've heard this before. Le Corbusier, Jean Prouvé, Mies van der Rohe, or Frank Lloyd Wright?
Very, very difficult one. Probably a mix between Mies van der Rohe and Le Corbusier.
Okay. You said your favorite painter is Mark Rothko?
Yes.
Why?
I love abstraction. That's why I also love Soulage and others in that respect. But what I like about this idea of abstraction is that through something which is fairly subdued and minimal, you extract an emotion, and you have that sort of direct relationship between you and the painting, or you and the work of art, which is for me is very strong. And this is something that obviously painters like Rothko or Soulage are masters at doing, and that's why I like them.
Oh, he's great. Horrible ending, but he's great.
Yes.
Has cinema inspired your work at all?
Yes, definitely. In the way that it is also about creating emotions, it's also about creating stories, it's also about taking you to another place.
Is there a movie that you...
I love the movies of the American movies of the 60s and 70s. Yeah, I'm
Like?
Like the Coppola movies, which for me are incredible in terms of their imagery, but also the acting and the way they create this sort of complete sort of world in which you get immersed and taken into.
60s and 70s?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, 70s are great too.
Yeah, true.
Okay. Latest artistic crush?
Oh, interesting. Difficult one. Latest artistic crush. I went for the first time to visit Mies van der Rohe buildings in Chicago last year. Which for the first time, which for an architect was pretty late, and that was
he has a few buildings there.
That was one of my early crushes in books and probably my last crush. In reality, I just spent an amazing day. Sort of taking in all this sort of mastery and beautiful architecture.
And Frank Lloyd Wright, you don't, it's not...
Sorry. I'm not questioning his talent. I'm just saying that my relationship to architecture needs to be a little bit more minimal in terms of what people design. So I
Okay, what do you want people to take away from a building or an object you've designed?
a memory. I want them to remember something that has moved them, something that has made an impact. That for me is what success is about in architecture or design.
Okay. And what are your current and future projects?
Oh, many. We have projects in 6 or 7 different countries in the world. We're off next week to Morocco, and then after that probably Central America. So yeah, we're very lucky in a way that we are offered to work on amazing
Are they hotels?
projects.
Are they?
A lot of them are
Do you
hotels.
do private homes too?
We do, but it's not the core of our work.
Okay.
The core of our work is really high-end destination hotels.
Okay.
More what we do.
And the best advice someone has given you?
Interesting. Just believe in yourself. Just, never give up.
Never
I
give
think.
up?
Because architecture is
Never.
architecture is a very complex and very difficult business. It's a very difficult job. So in order for you not to lose your thinking and not to use your the line that you're following is very important. So believing in yourself is not about being arrogant. It's just about continuing towards the same goal.
Never give up. Thank you, Reda Amalou. It was
Thank
a
you
pleasure.
very much.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Thank you.